All right, okay, let's get into this episode. Today, I had one of the best experiences of my life, and it was behind a meeting that I have been working for and working towards for like almost 3 years, y'all. Yes, it has taken me 3 years to bring to fruition and manifestations and affirmations, right? To this point where I met with two incredible individuals on one of the biggest deals that we could do together, right? And there was so much emotion into it. There was such a beautiful conversation that ensued between me and a couple of men who I value very greatly.
One of them.
And it was just meeting of the minds, so to speak, that was just so spiritual. And I have 100% respect, honor, and love for Uncle Jose Salagubeng and Dr. Jose. And no, that is Dr. Jason Salagubeng, y'all. All right. So with that being said, let's get into this episode. What up, y'all? Check us out, Chuck Rucker, Ruck's Place Podcast. During my conversation, it sparked so many different emotions this morning, and it brought me to a deep, deep place in my heart. And it reminded me of just the things that I have gone through in order to come to a point in my journey where I finally caught up with the guy that I was after, that I was looking for, right? That I had promised a certain kind of lifestyle. And I told myself that some point in my life, I'm going to achieve it. I'm going to reach it. I'm going to chase it down. And I'm going to chase that guy down when he took off running and left me in the distance. My biggest mistake, I thought at the time, was I told him what I wanted to do with my life, or I told him what I wanted my life to look like, and he went out searching for it. Now, I'm speaking metaphorically, but the truth is, whatever it is that you desire to be, whatever that picture that you painted for yourself, even just as a kid or as a young adult or even as a mid-age adult like myself, or an older adult who still has some time, we believe, on our timelines, right? What was that picture that you painted, and that picture that you set out on making the brushstrokes happen in order to see the final result? Oh my God. That is what the episode is about today, y'all. And let's get into this episode. So first of all, I want to say the episode is sponsored by Rucker, RETC. That is transaction coordination done to perfection, right? Where all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed on your real estate transactions, contracts, and all documentation dealing with facilitating the transfer of a property from seller to buyer, buyer to seller, however you want to put it. Rucker, RETC is the place you want to go. So shout out to all of the people over at Rucker, RETC, which is growing. And I'm absolutely loving all that is happening in the company, and you will too. So www.ruckerretc.com. Go over to the website and take a look, have a look around for yourself to see what I keep telling you guys about. Professionalism, experience, tried, tested, real estate at the highest luxury levels is not a problem for the people over at Rucker RETC. So with that being said, let's jump into this episode. What do you have to do in order for you to see the picture that you painted for your life at some point, right? What's holding you back from that picture, I ask? I created even the course about it, right? I created a guide for it, just dealing with confidence and dealing with self-actualization to self-realization. I have talked about it in front of groups of people numerous times, and from all age groups, it seems to be a common problem, a common thread that just kind of weaves its way through the young and the older and I say the beautifully matured, right? Let's put it that way. Yep. And what that is just, for some reason, we are afraid to be who we are. Boom. Can I say that? It just seems like there are so many of us in this world who, at some point, we had all the courage and all of the drive and all of the energy that we could possibly fathom in order to become whatever that picture that we had painted at some point in our lives. But what happens is the picture starts to fade for some of us. And that becomes a problem because as the picture fades, the artist, you, the painter, you start to fade too. Right? Have you ever seen a person go get like a sleeve tat? Right? Whole arm tatted, or the entire leg is tatted, or the back, or the chest, or the entire body. I've seen some people. Hey, y'all. I used to do some events over at the Marriott Hotel, LAX Marriott Hotel. I was a manager and a supervisor over there for some time, years and years ago. No, and we used to have these tattoo conventions. And my God, I had never seen people who would be tatted from the toe to the top of their head. They would shave their hair off in order to have more tattoos. And I mean, I would look at some of these people and say, all of that ink at some point is going to start to fade, and it's all over your face and all over your head. What are you going to do at that point in time? Right? Especially the owners of like certain tattoo stores or tattoo companies, right? Listen, I don't want to get out of my lane because I don't know much about tattoos. I just don't have one, but I know when I see them and they fade it doesn't look good, y'all. To be honest, it doesn't look good. But it's the same thing with our lives, right? We're painting these beautifully painted pictures in our minds, which can be extracted. We can pull those out. Right? We can do it through manifestation and affirmations and action, right? Action-driven people can actually paint more than one picture for their lives, right? But some of us, when we get to a certain point, we kind of start to give up on completing the picture. Or we complete the picture and now we have to start over. And now we got to go and mix up whatever it is to create the colorful experiences and just life journey, right? The paths. And we forget to include, in many of them, the obstacles that happen, right? The fires, the little red fires in the back, the ambers that are flying over, right? We forget that we want to leave those things out. And the fact is, those things are the very, very things that make us check ourselves. Or maybe we're painting too far outside the margin now. It wakes us up when maybe we're losing focus. It reminds us of who the ultimate painter, the ultimate creator is. The one who allowed us to have a canvas. The one that allowed us to have some paint that we can mix and create the colorful things that we desire to experience in our lives, or the things that we want to become, right? And when we lose focus and lose energy and lose ourselves in the picture frame, that's when the fading begins, right? For me, I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to be down. I know what it feels like to be up. I know what it feels like to be asking myself for permission to move forward. I know when I get to a fork in the road where it's foreign to me. But I know that if I stop midway, then I'm lost completely. Have you ever been on a hike and you went up a mountain or through some hiking range, and you got so far in, but you started to feel tired, or you started to feel lost, or you started to feel lost and tired. But you know that your mind told you that, well, I may not know which way to go, and I may have these feelings of, I don't want to go any further. But then you know that if you don't go forward, then there is some consequences, right? That could arise. There are going to be some things that just kind of pop up as the light gets darker, as the night grows. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out. No, remember that. But yeah, the things start to come out at night, and you don't want to get caught out. And if you do get caught out in the darkness, you better hope you have a light in order to light the path, so you can continue on to the end of the journey. Sometimes you have to give yourself permission to move forward. Sometimes I know I've been in that situation where I had to give myself an opportunity to win, an opportunity to get out of the woods. I remember I walked up, or I hiked up with my family in tow up Runyon Canyon here in Hollywood, California. It's the famous Runyon Canyon, right? And when we originally started the hike, it seemed doable. And we got to it. Beautiful summer day. Bunch of people out doing the same thing. Like-minded people, having a good conversation, saying hi as you pass people by. And we got deep into the mountains. And as we climbed the mountain, what do you have to do when you climb a mountain? You can't stay up there forever, because chances are at the top of the mountain, there isn't much comfort. And you can relate that to your mountains in any situation. When you get to the top of your mountains, usually it's nice to be at the top and nice to have this beautiful view as you look far out, as you can see, but you got to look down to reality. And then at some point you have to come down the side of that mountain to get back to familiarity, right? I remember getting to the top of the mountain, one of the mountains at Runyon Canyon, and having to come back down and not having the energy to go down a mountain because of the way the mountain was broken up, the steps that had to be taken. I remember having my babies in tow. They were little kids at the time. And my wife, who at some point hurt her knee and felt that she couldn't go forward. And we were so far into this thing that there was no turning back, only the option of going forward. And I remember my legs started to shake. And I remember having to control my mind because I had suddenly started to go into a panic, especially after my other half felt that she couldn't go forward because her knee, she said, my knee feels like it popped. We got down the mountain, obviously. I'm here today. But it was a decision that had to be made. And that decision was, we got to keep trooping, keep trucking, keep on moving. Don't stop, no. Keep on moving. And we did. We kept moving. And we made it. And we had a story to tell, as I am telling you that story today. And we had some experiences. And we allowed ourselves, we gave ourselves the permission to just do it. Why do we have to get in those kind of a situations, though, for many of us, where we are back against the wall and we just have to do it? The back is to the wall because we didn't do what we were supposed to do, or we forgot our place, our positioning. We got on a raft and just kind of floated out to the middle of the ocean. And then we woke up and said, oh my God, I'm in the middle of the ocean. What am I supposed to do? Some of us don't have a pedal to go any direction. And some of us do have pedals, but the current is so strong that it just kind of pulls us away. And it happens. There's casualties along the way. Unfortunately, that is just the way life works. But then there are casualties based on decisions being made. And sometimes that decision is to stop mid journey and give up. Yeah. Stop mid journey and give up because it doesn't look the way I thought it would look. It doesn't feel the way it's supposed to feel. Those things that I dreamed of having in place aren't here in place. Right? Yeah, no, I've been there. I've been there too. Or we feel like we don't have the power to get past an obstacle that does present itself to us. A shark might show up, right? A whale might show up, and many whales might show up and start to circle around you. And you're thinking like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And you panic. I remember I could tell you many stories of where I did feel like I was going to panic. I just had one. I was in Singapore. I didn't realize it got so hot in Singapore. I went out and had to take care of business in Singapore. And as I went on my journey throughout Singapore, during the day, I overheated. My body overheated. I was already leaking when I walked out of my hotel, right? I was leaking. It just like the sweat was just pouring off of me. I had never been in that kind of heat before, but that kind of humidity before. And I panicked. I was in a foreign land. It was beautiful. And I was caught up in the aesthetics. I was caught up in the ambiance. I was caught up in how kind the people were to me. And I was caught up in just feeling free. Like I didn't have any obligations outside of the business that I was there to take care of. But let me tell you, I got hit with a few things where I didn't know how I was going to make it to the next step. And one of those things was I didn't carry water out with me as I went through my day. I didn't have a water bottle. And part of it was, you can't drink in public and you can't eat in public and you can't drink on the bus and you can't chew gum and on, all these rules, right? That you have to follow. You just have to follow. And I panicked. I had a panic situation happen to me. I just panicked, right? And I was able to pull myself together because I went inside eternally. You get to those points in your life where you have to go inside. You have to search yourself really quickly, though, in a moment, because it's happening to you right now. And you got to figure it out. You got to come up with a solution. Now, some of you have been in these situations and they've been much more dire and much more serious than dehydrating. Some of you have come across some monsters in your lives and you've had to figure your way out. And some of us just didn't make it. We're not here anymore because they're not here anymore. And that's a whole nother thing. Panicked in a moment or just was overwhelmed and overpowered by whatever the situation may have been. But I remember so clearly when I found myself in that situation where I panicked and I had to go internally and just tell myself to breathe, tell myself to pace myself, tell myself to slow down my thoughts. I had to gain control of myself. And obviously I made it out again. I made it out of that situation. And I lived to tell the story, which is what you hear, right? And then I remember running out of money. And I had no way to get more money. But I found out that it wasn't that I had run out of money. It was just that I transferred money into a business account when I was utilizing my personal account. And I didn't realize that not just me, my partner had moved money. And I remember sitting at a restaurant Not that I couldn't pay for the bill for the restaurant, but I couldn't pay at the moment a few $1,000s for the whole point of me being there. Had to be paid. And I remember making phone calls to nowhere. I remember making phone calls that never got answered. And then I remember making phone calls to places where on the opposite side of that did not come to my aid. They answered the phone, but they didn't come to my aid. And I really, really, really almost lost it at that point in time as well. Because I felt like, wow, the people that you needed the most, that I needed the most in those moments, even just to calm me down and to walk me through something, they weren't there for me. And I knew that, but I had to rely on going inside and calming myself down and trusting God. Because a lot of times in these situations, we lose focus of God. Our faith is tested and we lose faith. Not forever, but for the moment. And I remember losing my faith and then picking it right back up. And when I picked it up, I had a different experience. And I went and I laid back in my hotel room. I had a great dinner, and the owner of the restaurant and he spoiled me. I mean, these guys took care of me. So things started to happen rapidly that just blew my mind. I was so shocked how things could turn around because I sat still and I got out of my own way and I let God do what God does, his thing. Praise God. And I let him do his thing. Man, give yourself permission to live that life that you want to live, that place that you want to be, that you let yourself in a moment run off ahead of you. And you had to figure out how to catch up to it. And when you do catch up to him, you know it's a version of you that you wanted to see, but it's like meeting yourself for the first time again. I have given my life to training, to coaching, to teaching, to uplifting, to just being able to have a big enough heart to tell somebody else that, hey, I got the solution to your problem. Or, hey, you are amazing. Or, hey, I see you at point A, and because we talked about it, I see you at point B. I saw you go to point C. Now you're at point D, and on and on and on. And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to help somebody. It's a beautiful thing to be able to give my light. And I encourage you, especially those who have been told that you're too old or have been told that you don't have that much time left on your timeline, as if they are God, right? Arrogance. Ooh, right? We never know when our number is called. But if you're here with me now, you're here with me today, yours hasn't been. So I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to continue to chase that future me and to reach out and touch you, because together with God, I have just had one of the most beautiful experiences in my life. This place, this here, this now, that is quickly future. Because it's almost like now doesn't exist because it's happening so fast, right? It's just happening so fast. So with all of that being said, I truly appreciate you guys. And I want to say this thing. People think you're crazy. People will think you're narcissistic. People will think all kind of negative things about you when you set out on chasing that future you. So much negativity exists in the world, but equally good exists in the world. And your good thoughts and your good ideas and your willingness to put fuel behind, invest in you, have others believe at some point and invest in you. It isn't until you reach that future you that people now believe. They thought this guy was crazy talking about so many people are going to be driving an electric car. They thought this AI thing was a joke. It was crazy. Let me tell you, Blockbuster and Hollywood Video thought that streaming would never happen, right? You're going to keep rewinding this videotape. You're going to keep bringing this CD back and dropping it into this box and yada, yada, yada on this time, or you're going to be penalized and all of that, yada, yada, yada. They made a business out of it and then they went under because they weren't able to pivot and move in a whole different direction in order to see themselves down the line in the future. Don't let that be you. I won't let it be me. And people could think of us as we could be the most craziest, narcissistic dreamers, I've been called so many times. Until now, I created Rex Place and I asked God for the blessing and he gave it to me. And I utilized this platform in order to uplift and to bring light and to shine that light that only is illuminated by the man upstairs on as many people as I possibly can. And when I feel that this light can be bigger, because it can, because there's no limit to God's light or his power, even if I have to pull other people onto the podcast so we could light this up. We don't even know what to let that mama burn. No. Yeah, right? It's a beautiful thing. And I'm going to continue to create this value. I'm going to continue to bring you these messages. I'm going to continue to bring you this podcast. And I hope you will continue to support and be a part of this, what I think is a beautiful thing, right? And I hope that it is pleasing to God. And apparently it must be because it's still going. All right. And maybe it's pleasing to you guys too, because I see the numbers continue to grow. And I thank you and I appreciate you. And we'll catch you next Friday on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Shout out to, again, Jason Salagoo Bang, Dr. Jason Salagoo Bang. And shout out to Uncle Jose Salagoo Bang and the Salagoo Bang family. Praise God for us all. Praise God for you guys. And what a beautiful Friday I have had. And I hope you guys can feel me who are listening, because I know God wants you to feel his light. And he wants you to trust him. I do. Give him a shot, y'all, if you haven't. God bless. Catch you on the next episode. Rex Place, Chuck Rucker, and I'm out. Peace.